Good afternoon, everyone. It is 11:30 a.m. Chicago time, 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. This is a catch-up trader bite based on the difficulties we had this morning with the YouTube feed. Just creating this video to catch up on the day, put out the just for out of consistency's sake, out of habit, to put out the hypotheses for the day. Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not indicative of future results. First off, the key news overnight was the Microsoft acquisition of LinkedIn at $196 per share. LinkedIn was trading at $131. They're paying a $65 per share premium and a cash purchase valued at $26 billion. It's a pretty big deal. Microsoft was halted for a bit, and then when it reopened, the NASDAQ sold off and continued to push lows for the session. The biggest things to keep track of this week, really, is the Fed announcement due on Wednesday. The Fed is expected to announce its rate decision for June. The rate decision is expected at 1 o'clock Central, 2 o'clock Eastern. The same old news. Yellen is expected to speak at 2:30 Eastern, 1:30 Central. That is the key driver of the week. But on that same day, we have PPI core, PPI final demand, capitalization, industrial production, and then the next day on Thursday, we have CPI, Philly Fed and current account, NAHB housing, and then on Friday, we have housing starts and building permits. Not to mention the fact that the Brexit vote takes place soon. I think it's on the 21st of June, so about a week from Tuesday. And the most recent poll that just came out at 11:21 a.m. Central Time just now says that the camp that is with the British government remaining in the Eurozone is at 47%, 53% voting to leave. Pretty tight race. And that's going to be a very, very important driver. I expect a fair amount of volatility once that vote comes out. So this week is driven by the Fed and is also driven by, and then the following week is driven by the Brexit vote. We get CPI, RPI out of the UK tomorrow. And then in the US tomorrow, we also get retail sales and business inventory. So that's pretty much the recap for the week. I want to point out while you're listening, I want to point out that we have a webinar set up for Wednesday. It is a Convergence Tuesday event that is set for Wednesday. Convergence events are events where I'm basically spotlighting a trader's performance, a trader intervention, a piece of software, something that I believe followers would find useful. This week we're going to interview two system developers, professionals, one a former Microsoft, high-up Microsoft developer who switched to trading futures, and another who got his pedigree as a fund manager and institutional trader. And they both basically went out and built a system from scratch and are running a hedge fund. So we're going to interview them on Wednesday. I think it'll be very interesting. That's Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Look for the link on the Twitter feed. Also in the description to this video, go ahead and register. Space is limited. The first 1,000 get in. Actually, the first 997 get in. And then the rest will have to catch the video. It's expected to fill up. Let's look at where we were on Friday. So Friday we had our primary hypothesis. Let's switch over here real quick. Our primary hypothesis on Friday was for a push down from the open. Friday opened right against its overnight low. It opened back in this composite balance zone back here, and the expectation is it would push to the composite point of control at 78.50 and then push up. The secondary hypothesis on Friday is just up the video a little bit, is an attempt higher into the prior day's range right here, and then finding sellers to rotate down towards 78.50. We're expecting, since we're back in the balance from the 25th till the 3rd, we're expecting a test of that point of control at some point. And then I also put out a third hypothesis, which was a shallow push down, open out of range, open auction out of range, shallow push down, and then start to drift towards the prior day's low, which was in the 97 range, in the 97 quarter range. Remember, these are all September prices. Okay, so here's what we got on Friday. Now this includes today here, since the session's been going on. Here's what we got on what we got on Friday. Open auction. We got an open auction, and then the market tried to push higher, and then finally it got down into that 78.50. It missed the target by 4 ticks at 79.50, and then we got the pop up on the close, just like I showed on this primary hypothesis right here. See how that pops up on the close there? That's expected. We're expected, and the reason we expect that is because the market has an uptrend, has been in an uptrend, and prices lower create an opportunity for long-term buyers, OTF buyers, to step in and raise prices again, or take advantage of the lower prices. So Hypo 1 was in control on Friday, and that's how we ended up. Today, here we are. We've been trading for about 3 hours since the open. Let's take a look at the overnight session. The overnight session last night's right here. It is completely balanced with a skew downwards. It could not hold higher prices on multiple attempts and kept falling back to this point of control at 78.75. Remember, the point of control for the balance zone is 78.50, so that creates a magnet at 78.50 for today's session. We're looking to open a little bit just inside of the range by the time the trader bite was happening, if it had happened at 8 a.m. Central as it normally does. And the primary hypothesis, as I pointed out on YouTube, the primary hypothesis is to attempt to push higher early. So here it is. Hang on. Here's the YouTube status that talked about it, since after multiple attempts at creating a new session. I said that Hypo 1 worked out on Friday, expecting an attempt lower, then rotation higher early. So I expected it to continue to try to push lower on the overnight session, and then to push higher to be responsive up. So here's the push lower, early on, and then an attempt higher as soon as we open, and that's exactly what happened. So not that it always happens exactly as I expect. So that was the primary hypothesis there, and that's what worked out. We did push yesterday. We did push into yesterday's point of control right here, and the market has found sellers. We have fallen out of Friday's range. We had some difficulty with this LVN early on. This created a small opportunity to sell, but it didn't work out. It ended up pushing into the point of control, and now it has fallen through on an impulsive move down, and we have not had a continuation. So in this scenario, currently, the way things are shaped, The normal behavior is to trade this impulsive move, but to look at it on a higher time frame, we have an impulsive move down. Look for the mid short for an extension and a retest of 75.75. That's what I was looking for this morning. And with the overnight high being taken, the overnight stat is done. With the IB stat being done as well, with the IB high being taken as well, it's a little bit more risky. But now we're neutral, and we are completely imbalanced as we push into New York's lunchtime. But I'm still looking for that drop down. This short against the mid, unless you were absolutely on top of it and staring at it and waiting for it, it was very difficult to get a good bite on that short, but it did work out, and it's still holding in place. We don't have a lower low yet. This idea, the impulsive pullback continuation move idea, gets canceled once the market, if the market starts pushing up above the mid again and starts moving towards 85.25. In that situation, you're looking at neutral, normal. So the expectation would be for it to close somewhere in the middle today. We have an LVN right up against the mid and VWAP, and that becomes the over-under line for the rest of the session. So if you push through this 82.50, then you're looking at a clear test all the way up to 86.25, 86 even or so, and it's likely to close in this zone. That's how things are shaping up. Again, I apologize about this morning's issues. It's very frustrating to be ready to go live and to see that I don't have the bandwidth. To broadcast. So I'm at home. Unfortunately, I have to rely on a cable connection out of the office. We have a 200 megabit per second fiber connection, a gigafiber line, and that's very stable. But I've been working with our cable provider here to get this resolved. So that's where we are. Going forward into the session, we have a market that's has not found consensus yet, is in a very odd-shaped profile. We are in balance in that if we look back on the 15-minute, we are in this 25th to the 3rd zone. You see that? That's the point of control that we've been aiming at. Notice these flex levels. What a mess, right? Just tons and tons of levels on top of each other. And the reason for that is a lot of days that just cluster together like we saw here on the 25th. There's just a lot going on in these areas. The market is really absolutely terribly testing every single area over and over and over and over before it moves out. It has a hard time maintaining higher prices once it breaks out, and we have a lot to work with. We left a gap zone above on Friday, yet another gap zone. We have about 4 gap zones now to contend with. Here they are. The gray areas are all gap zones. So this is starting to get out. Don't fall asleep yet. With a gap zone above, gap zone below, back in this high balance area, high volume balance area. Something is likely to happen here. It's likely to tip one way or another, and the catalyst for that is clearly Wednesday's Fed meeting. So I'll leave you with that thought. I want to remind you again, look for the invitation to Wednesday's webinar. I think it'll be very interesting. My intent is to really drill these two guys and find out what it takes to develop these systems and what it's like to run an algo in the futures market. Their program trades the ES intraday and trades multiple times a day. So it'll be interesting. It's something we can relate to as day traders. It'll be very interesting to see what got them to where they are. Anyway, that's your update. I'll catch you in the morning. Good luck and see you later.